Oh, there we go. How are you doing, Johnny?
Good, Adam. How you doing?
Nice, doing well. How's the team? Is everyone recovered from LeadsCon?
I think so. I actually wasn't able to attend LeadsCon because I got a little bit under the weather, but my team said they had a good time there and it was fun, but also got a lot done. I don't know. How was it for you guys?
Oh no, sorry to hear that. It was good. Yeah, it's a busy show. I think we had about 25 people out there, but I don't know.
Wow.
Did you hear about any of the drama coming out of LeadsCon?
I did not, but I'm excited to hear.
Yeah, so it was great actually. Rob Seaver, who's the executive director of Consumer Consent Council, formerly known as Leads Council, and now PACE, he was presenting on some panel and he wanted to talk about our socks because we always have branded socks.
Oh
So
yeah.
Active Prospect socks, but a few people misheard him and they heard him say Active Prospect sucks. So start it might be a reach to say it went viral, but it started getting shared to the point that one of our competitors even walked up to Rob afterwards to say, hey, thank you so much for saying Active Prospect sucks. And Rob was like, I didn't say Active Prospect sucks, I was talking about socks. So actually today in Eric Troutman's blog TCPA World, he did a redaction on behalf of Rob Seaver saying that, just to be clear, Rob was not saying Active Prospect sucks. He was talking about their socks. So we found that pretty funny over here.
That is pretty funny. So it's not becoming a slogan for you guys.
No, not becoming a slogan. We were thinking it was going to become like a meme or something, everybody talking about the Active Prospect socks, and maybe it still will. But we also heard that this year over 70% of the LeadsCon attendees were there for the first time.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
actually
right? I mean, usually you go there and you see a lot of the same familiar faces, which is great, but I guess this means our industry is expanding, so not mad about that.
that's good news. That's gold to our ears. So
Yeah, absolutely. So, where are you guys based out of again? Remind me.
yeah, that's a great question. So Actify, we're headquartered out of a little bit south of Salt Lake City, Utah, and then we have some satellite offices in Menlo Park and Irvine and Washington in the Seattle area. So we're a little bit spread out throughout the U.S., but a big hub in California and a big hub in Salt Lake. What about you guys?
Hang on. Yeah, we're headquartered out of Austin, but once the pandemic hit, we really dove into that remote first culture. So I want to say of like our 165 folks, we only have, I think like 30 or 40 now in Austin. And yeah, I was just in the office yesterday, so we're starting to use that more, but definitely a very remote friendly company at this point.
That's always nice. I'm sure your employees really appreciate that. It's nice to have that flexibility.
Absolutely. Well, we are now three past the hour, so I guess we should get started now. We have people pouring in, so I'll kick it off. And first, thank you to everyone for attending. We really appreciate you taking half an hour or more out of your day to spend some time with us. Really excited for today's webinar. Today, we are here with Actify, and we're going to be talking about messaging with confidence and how to get SMS compliance right. So Drea, if you don't mind kicking it over to the next slide, I'll introduce ourselves. So I am Adam Chickman. I'm VP of Sales at Active Prospect. I've been at Active Prospect just about 5 years now. And just a quick background on AP. Our mission as a company is to make what we call consent-based marketing the best channel for customer acquisition. And that's something that we feel very passionately about. We feel that if you are following consent-based marketing, which we would define as only contacting customers who have given their express written consent to be contacted, that's great for the consumer, but it's also a great marketing practice because you're only contacting very high intent leads. And in theory, this should work really well. But we also see that there are a ton of challenges with consent-based marketing, also known as lead generation or lead acquisition. So one of the ways to think about what we do is we really exist to help mitigate all of the potential downsides that come along with consent-based marketing so that our customers can recognize all the upsides that it can bring as a channel. So today we're going to be very focused on TCPA and how to mitigate that potential downside. And excited to be here with Johnny, who can talk about if you're able to mitigate the TCPA litigation risk, one of the ways that you could leverage SMS and their amazing technology. So I'm not going to steal Johnny's thunder anymore. I'll let him introduce.
Thanks for the intro, Adam. You probably did it better than I will. But just echoing, we really appreciate what ActiveProspect does on the battlefront of compliance. That's one of the reasons we love to partner with you and are excited about all the things you're accomplishing. I think it's critical that companies are compliant with their leads, and it's critical to what we do at Aktify. Just kind of echoing the introductions, I'm the director of channels, so I'm heading up the partnerships here at Aktify and the partnership teams. I've been at Aktify since about September, jumped on the rocket ship with a bunch of other people, and we're really excited with what we're able to do. I would say in a nutshell, like what we're accomplishing at Aktify is through conversational AI, we want to power conversations better than humanly possible. And so with that, it's critical that you're compliant, like I already mentioned. And that's why I feel what ActiveProspect does and is aiming to do and what we are doing goes so well hand in hand.
Absolutely. Thank you for that intro. All right, so to get things going here, we're going to kick this off with a poll. So we've now opened the poll. As you can read here, the question is, are you confident that your company is fully compliant with all regulations for using SMS marketing? And we're going to give you about 30-40 seconds to answer. And as you are answering that, just a couple quick housekeeping items. First off, please ask questions throughout. We want this to be highly interactive, so don't be shy in the chat. We will try to answer questions as they come in. If we don't have time to get to them, we will do a Q&A at the end. The second is, following this, we're going to be asking a few survey questions. So if you don't mind taking another 30 seconds, we'd really appreciate you filling out those survey questions, as we're always trying to improve. So that is it for the housekeeping. We'll give about 10 more seconds and then we'll close up the poll. So please get those answers in. All right, let's close out the poll here. Let's see the results. Okay, so looks like only 18% feel that yes, I'm fully compliant with all regulations. 36% are somewhat confident. 29% are unsure. 14% think we have gaps in our compliance strategy. And 4% say this is not applicable because we are not currently using SMS. Johnny, any thoughts on that?
No, I think that, it's an honest crowd. I feel like the more I've been, in my role, I've understood more fully compliance and all that goes into it. And it really is just always evolving, and there's a lot of evolution there. So I think it's pretty exciting that we have the group that we have on the call now, and I'm just excited to go over our material. What about you?
Yeah, same here. And I think, for the 4% that aren't currently using SMS, I know we talk to people all the time that say, I don't have to worry about TCPA. I'm not using a dialer and I'm not texting people. And, my question to them is always why. And oftentimes it's because they're worried about TCPA and they're worried about the fines that could come along with it. So we're often educating people that, if you're taking the proper precautions, you don't have to worry about avoiding SMS and avoiding these amazing ways of reaching out to people, because if you aren't leveraging technologies like Aktify, you're definitely paying an opportunity cost by leaving contacts on the table. So for those 4% out there, I'm excited to hear at the end of this, if knowing how you could do this in a compliant and safe way, you're going to change your strategy and start leveraging SMS. But so thank you to those that filled out the poll. We will jump in. So quick overview, today's topics. First, we're going to review why it's critical to document consent before adding SMS to your remarketing flow. Second, how to safely send SMS in accordance with compliance regulations. And then third, how to increase the ROI on your SMS campaigns with Aktify. So first, why it's critical to document consent before adding SMS to your remarketing flow. So there's really two main reasons, and I'd say one takes the lion's share. That's TCPA. So TCPA, for those that aren't familiar with it, it says that if you're going to contact somebody using an auto dialer or using SMS for marketing purposes, before doing so, you need their express written consent to be reaching out. And a really important piece of this is that it says in the event that there's a complaint, the burden of proof is on that party making a call or sending a text to prove that you obtained that consent. And it's really important that people understand that, because it's that piece that a lot of these professional litigants are really exploiting, knowing that it's hard to prove that they actually gave you their consent. In the event that you are getting fined, penalties can be up to $1,500 per infraction. So that'd be per text message or call, and those can certainly add up. The second piece is the do not call registry. I just checked, and I think there are over 230 million people on the national DNC, which, looking at 330 million people in the US, means just about everyone is on it. But it's also important to keep in mind that if you have prior express written consent, that means that that supersedes being on the DNC. So really, we like to think of prior express written consent as a marketer's golden ticket to be able to contact people in whichever way is best for them. Let's go on to the next slide. So knowing the challenges you might be up against and the penalties, let's talk about how to safely send SMS in accordance with compliance regulations. So I feel there's really a two-pronged approach here, and this might be a gross simplification, but knowing that having that express written consent documented is a marketer's golden ticket, the two pieces are, first, before making a dial, you want to be able to verify that consent was obtained. You want to be able to do that in real time. And the second is that in the event of a complaint, you want to make sure that you have that documented proof of consent. With TrustedForm, and I'll get into the details on how we do this in a minute, but our TrustedForm product is a lead certification product that allows you to, in real time, run a page scan to verify that the required consent verbiage was on the form where the consumer submitted their information, so that before accepting a lead or dialing out on it, you know that they gave their consent. And then on the back end, once you've contacted that consumer, you're able to store a visual playback of that consumer actually filling out the form, where we capture every mouse movement, every keystroke, every form input, so that should there ever be a complaint, you can send them a URL where they could actually see themselves filling out the form. And that, our customers tell us, is the strongest proof of consent that they've come across. So that's really key in being able to mitigate and de-escalate these lawsuits. So how does TrustedForm work? It's real simple, 3 steps. It is a JavaScript-based solution. So the first step, the publishers put our JavaScript on their site where the form is being completed, and TrustedForm is already on thousands of different sites. A lot of the largest publishers in the key verticals, such as insurance, financial services, home services, have already gone ahead and implemented the script. Once the script is implemented, every time a consumer starts filling out a form on that site, we create the TrustedForm certificate, and that can be passed along as a URL, just as one additional field with the rest of the lead data. So then you get this lead with a TrustedForm certificate attached to it. Then by making an API call to TrustedForm, you are doing what we call claiming that certificate. And when you claim that certificate, that allows you to do 2 things. First, it allows you to run that real-time page scan, so that within milliseconds, we will be telling you if that consumer actually gave consent or not per your required verbiage. The second piece is it then notifies us to go ahead and store that visual replay, that TrustedForm certificate, on your behalf for 5 years, so that should there ever be a complaint 3, 4, 5 years down the road, you'll have access to that, so that you can fend off those lawsuits and ideally make sure they don't even turn into a lawsuit. So that is TrustedForm. And now, knowing how to go ahead and protect yourself against TCPA, I'm going to kick it over to Johnny so he can talk about how to increase the ROI on your SMS campaigns with Aktify.
Awesome, thanks, Adam. Yeah, and just kind of wanted to go into that a little deeper. I always like to say at Aktify, we care incredibly about 2 things. One, compliance. Without compliant leads, you're not able to use Aktify. But with it, then you're able to unlock a whole plethora of revenue that was unforeseen before that. And on top of that, we also focus on our technology. That's one of our main focuses, using machine learning and natural language processing in a conversational AI format to do what we're going to talk about. So on this slide, Aktify is I mean, the best way to turn your leads into revenue with SMS starts here with this slide, and it talks about the need for speed to lead. This is a study done with a Harvard Business Review on how many companies are reaching out to their contacts or their leads within the first 5 minutes, and they found that through that, companies were 100 times more likely to close their leads if they reached out in the first 5 minutes. But on the flip side, they also saw, and you can see on that graph, how many companies are not doing that. And just the importance there. The speed neglected is not an advantageous thing for a company. But when you do bring that speed in, it gives you not only an advantage and helps you produce more revenue, but an advantage over your competition as well. You know, you want to gain the insight and the attention of your prospect before other companies are able to get there. On the next slide, what Aktify does with speed to lead is we combine it with texting, which is the best of both worlds. Texting is the preferred channel of customers. 75% of customers in multiple reports have said that they prefer to be reached out via SMS. Now, with that, there's an incredibly higher open rate and response rate, and the amount of time it even takes for them to read that text. You can see here that 98% open rate with texting. Email is, as low as 20%. The time it takes to open an email can be over 6 hours, whereas the time it takes to open a text can be less than 3 minutes. So you can see here how when you combine speed, but also with texting, it just unlocks a lot of potential revenue that is going unseen. So with that being said, with those two established guidelines of how to really turn your SMS campaigns into a profit center for your company, there's the conversation of quantity and quality. Usually companies are able to nail down one or the other. With quantity, you have human conversations, but it's hard to scale that. With quantity, you have a lot of conversations, but it's broken, or it's like a decision tree, which we'll kind of go into further. What we did at Aktify through that conversational AI is combine them to have the best of both worlds. Not only do you have scalable conversations, but they're also human-like. And if we go to the next slide, it just emphasizes once again how Aktify is that company that, that bridges that gap where the crossroads meet. We are able to reach out to hundreds and thousands of leads, but engage in a very human-like AI machine learning driven conversation, where oftentimes, most often, the lead is not even able to know that it's not AI. They think it's a real person. And when we transfer that lead from a text message into a warm inbound call, they ask for the person they were texting. One of the things I really like about this slide, you can see on the left, is successful personalization will only be seen by businesses that start two-way conversations. We're just at a place where, consumers are getting smarter, technology is getting, brighter, everything is expanding in those fronts. And so we need to stay on top of the forefront of that evolution. And Aktify is aiming to do that and help companies do that. On the next slide is one of my favorites, and I hope not to get too jazzed about this, but on the left you can see an example of a conversation thread that you may have with one of the big brands that you've texted before. Just decision tree logic. It feels very robotic. They say, if you say yes, I'm going to respond with this. If you say no, I'm going to respond with this. Not very human-like at all, right? Well, on the right is an example of one of our conversational threads. What happened was the company gave us a lead, and this conversation took place. There's over 200 total interactions, over 86 text messages from the lead. We were able to schedule with our AI 23 calls, and they no-showed. And I think that's something I really want to emphasize here is the power of conversational AI that's human-like. Most people after 3 or 4 no-shows would give up. But with our technology, it pushed forward and it still felt like a human, but it scheduled a 24th time, got that lead on the phone, transferred it into the call center, and they closed the lead. Now the company, all they did was give us the lead, and all they got back was that warm softball pitch home run sale. But we take care of everything in the middle with our conversational AI. And if you kind of look at that thread, it's a little hard to see the words, but it's not very decision tree at all. There, there's emojis, there's human life, aspects to that conversation. And if we go to the next slide, it will kind of emphasize this a little bit further. Going into our technology a little deeper, we really care about natural language processing, the ability to gauge the intent of the text message and then respond based on how a human responds, like how when we conversate, we try to understand what each other is saying, what our intent is. It's hard for AI to do that, but at Actify, we've been able to unlock that ability. We are able to, in our niche use case, to outperform IBM Watson, Google Dialogflow with understanding intent and responding based on that. You can see that this feels like a very real conversation on the right. If you look on the right side of that conversation, actually something came up. Can we do Monday instead? Sure. What time works best? I have time after 3. Great. I'll connect with you with a rep on Monday, March 9th at 3. Thanks. And then it just follows up, and it's persistent but human-like. And so with that, we're able to unlock incredible amounts of revenue. One of our customers recently was able to, drive $45 million more in revenue in the last 18 months. So it's just really exciting to see what our technology is able to achieve for companies. And on the next slide is just a couple examples of companies that, have unlocked a lot of revenue. These are on month-to-month statistics, but there's a medical device company that we work with that gave us 13,000 prospects, and we were able to transfer 1,500 calls out of that. So literally through that conversational AI, turn those prospects into warm inbound transfers at a much higher rate than just cold calling on a time that doesn't work for them. There's an addiction recovery company that had 30,000 prospects, and we're able to transfer 1,800 calls to help those patients. And a home security company like we talked about, they gave us 37,000 prospects, and we're able to transfer 3,300 calls back just to immediately engage with those leads and unlock more revenue. I don't want this slide to say that if you're not one of these companies, you don't work well with Actify, though. When you combine obviously the compliance of ActiveProspect and being TCPA compliant, and then Actify, it really unlocks this potential with any B2C company, any company that has, B2C outreach with compliant leads.
And Johnny, am I reading that right, or is that a typo? Is that actually $45 million in additional revenue generated in 18 months?
Yeah, you're reading that right. That is not a typo. It genuinely was able to engage with leads. Like we said, it combined those two crossroads at such a scale, but still human-like, to get so many prospects on the phone that it led to that much revenue. It's like I mentioned in the beginning of the webinar. It's why I jumped on the rocket ship. It's just incredible to see like what we're able to do, and I do want to give kudos though to ActiveProspect and what you guys are doing, because without that, companies are at much more risk and they need that sophistication around their compliance. But yeah, that's not a typo.
Wow, that's incredible, and appreciate the kudos there. That's actually a perfect segue into our best practices and kind of parting thought or recap here. But for just to recap for everyone, and highlight these best practices. I'll go through the first two, and then Johnny, you could take it home with the final two. But as we talked about, first you have to make sure you're protected against the TCPA. When it comes to that, really two things to keep in mind. One, make sure you're able to verify that consent was obtained. The second is make sure that you're able to document it in a way that is easily shareable and that is high quality proof of consent. You do that, you should be in a really good spot. The second is, make sure to stay up to date on laws and regulations, especially the TCPA. There are always new precedents being set. One of my favorite blogs to read is TCPA World by Eric Troutman. If you aren't familiar with him, he's known as the czar of TCPA. He's not the only one out there. Michelle Schuster also puts out a lot of great content. So familiarize yourself with the TCPA and make sure that you're staying up to date. And Johnny, if you want to take the next two.
Yeah, so at point 3, combine automation with SMS to get to prospects as soon as possible. Just going back and reiterating, that speed to lead is crucial to engaging with that prospect and getting them in a place where they actually still want to purchase. The sooner the better. And then point 4, use feedback on data to continue to iterate and fine-tune campaigns. Just kind of echoing what we do. Each company that we work with has a unique conversational engine, and we use machine learning and look into the data, do deep dives to continue to fine-tune it and just unlock better conversations, which in turn unlock more revenue.
And I think that that final point is really important to keep top of mind with everything you do as it relates to performance marketing, and especially lead generation, customer acquisition. Lots of our customers and our most successful customers are always tweaking their campaigns. They're always tweaking what filters they have set based off conversion feedback. So just cannot emphasize that enough. The importance of continuing to look at your conversions, what's working, and then bring those insights as far up in the process as possible to make sure that you're getting more of the right leads, make sure that you're contacting them in the right way. So Johnny, I appreciate you sharing that best practice there.
Yeah, of course.
And so just some final thoughts. I'll go first, and then Johnny, please share yours, and then we'll open it up to Q&A here. But first, really appreciate you sharing everything with us, Johnny. It's partnerships like the one that we have with Aktify that we feel really help our customers succeed. At ActiveProspect, we do a lot of work with our customers on the front end in identifying the right leads for you, the leads that are most likely to become your best customers, making sure that you're acquiring those leads in a compliant way, in a way that protects you against litigation, such as from the TCPA. But just acquiring the right leads is far from enough. It's important that you also have a great contact strategy in place. So that's why we really appreciate the partnership with Aktify, being able to make sure you're connecting with the right consumers and connecting with them at the right time in the right way is where our customers see a lot of success. So, I hope that you got a lot out of today, and please don't be shy with questions. But Johnny, any final thoughts you have?
Yeah, no, I think you said it really well. I think I would just add that it's so crucial to be compliant, and why we love ActiveProspect and what you're doing, and why we love to see when our customers have that. It makes it easier, and quite frankly, if you're not compliant, we can't unlock that revenue through Aktify's engine for you. So combining that with then, like you said, a good contact strategy. I'm a little biased, but I don't think there's a better contact strategy than Aktify in general. And so you combine those, you have the best of both worlds. You mitigate any financial risk through compliance, and then unlock further financial, revenue growth. Yeah, let's turn over to some of those questions. I see that the first question came in, said, what industries does conversational SMS work best in? I figured I'd take that just, as what we do. Really, it's not limited to specific industries. We've seen a lot of success in, a couple industries in the beginning, just building traction on our product, like medical device companies, insurance companies, any type of insurance, online education, home services, that's anything in that realm, windows, doors, home security, all of that. But really, I don't want to limit it to anything. If you have compliant leads and you're a business to consumer entity, then you are the right industry for Aktify.
Awesome. And I see one here from Tammy. So Tammy said, beyond consent, how do you ensure that SMS content contains proper disclosures and opt-out requirements? So first, thank you for that question, Tammy. And to be clear, we are not verifying and documenting what takes place in the SMS message. We are verifying and documenting where the lead form and where that was submitted. So our technology, as mentioned, we have a JavaScript that lives on the forms where the leads are being submitted. With that, we're able to see everything that's taking place on that page. And as a result, we're able to do things like run a real-time page scan to make sure that the required consent language is there, and then let you as the advertiser know if it was present or not present. Knowing that your required consent verbiage was there, or at least one variation of that consent verbiage, is what enables our customers to dial with confidence and make or send SMS with confidence, knowing that the consumer actually opted in. But we do not do anything in the way of verifying what's happening in the actual text messages that are being sent out.
Yeah, I think I just add to that, at Aktify, it's like I've mentioned multiple times, compliance is crucial. We are always staying up to date with the newest regulations, what can and can't be, and we take a very consultative approach and feel when we work with customers or, prospective customers. We make sure that we understand what script you need in place, and then we also make sure with our experts in-house that we don't cross any lines and we're compliant there. So you can know that you're in good hands as well if you use us as your contact strategy. It looks like there's another question that came in, and it's probably best for you, Adam. But it said, do you need lead conduit to check to see if the lead is good or valid or within your parameters?
Oh, nice. Well, I do not see the name of the person that submitted this, but to whoever submitted it, thank you for the lead conduit plug. So lead conduit is one of our 3 products. We've been talking about TrustedForm today, but our other 2 products are lead conduit and LeadsBridge. Lead conduit is our lead integration and acquisition platform. So TrustedForm does integrate with different platforms. It doesn't only integrate with lead conduit. Lead conduit, of course, does have a native integration with TrustedForm that makes it really easy to do things like run a real-time page scan to verify that consent was obtained. And beyond that, verify things such as, was this a real-time lead? Or was this coming from healthinsurance.com, or was it coming from freeipads.com? So lead conduit can certainly help you make sure that the leads that you're getting are legitimate, and that consent has been obtained, and then make a real-time decision such as, do I want to buy this lead or not, as well as how much do I want to pay for the lead if you're in a real-time bidding environment. But TrustedForm can be used with other platforms as well to verify things like was consent obtained.
Yeah, and I like what you said there on a couple of different things. The intent of the lead we've found through our own data analytics and research is crucial, and making sure it's a quality lead is crucial to, the responsiveness of that lead and it turning into revenue. I mean, you can have all the speed in the world, but if you don't have high intent or, proper, compliant leads, it's not going to do anything, or vice versa. You can have the best leads in the world, and if you don't have that speed, it's going to do a lot less too. It looks like we have some more questions that are coming in.
Yep. And we're actually getting asked by the organizers here, just because we're 2 minutes over, to just do one last question and then wrap it up. So let's see, which question?
It says, are there any specific landing page builder sites that are most compatible with the AP script?
Yes, so the TrustedForm script is compatible across all websites. If you ever have any issues implementing it, we definitely have a support team on call that you could reach out to. You could also reach out to me personally at adam@activeprospect.com, but we intentionally built the script to integrate with all different form builders and to be able to be placed on any different website. So that should not be an issue. But all right, with that, because we are 3 minutes over, we are going to wrap this up. Just wanted to say thank you again to everybody who joined us for the last 33 minutes. As a reminder, we do have a survey that's going to come on the screen here in a minute. So if you don't mind, please fill that out. If you have any questions, you want to chat anything, lead acquisition, lead generation, I'm always more than happy to chat or connect you with someone from my team. I can be contacted at adam@activeprospect.com and would love to connect. And Johnny, if you want to share your contact information, go for it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, please reach out if you have any questions. It's Johnny, JONNY.Hicken, HICKEN @actify.com. Likewise, really appreciate all of you taking the time, and please stay on to fill out that survey. We really appreciate the information that's going to bring us. So,
all righty. Thanks a lot, everyone. Hope you all have a great day. Cheers.